on a 10, but you can tie it down to a size 16 for an olive imitation. As usual, set the thread on at the eye and work back in even turns, roughly to the centre of the hook shank, ready to come back forward to make a base of thread. So now here we go, working forwards. Go roughly halfway along this bed of thread. Trim off the waste and then take a dyed squirrel tail, separate enough for the wing and pull it out at roughly right angles to the stem, which evens up the tips for you. Snip them off. Clean the butts in case there's any soft fibre stuck in amongst it, which makes it difficult to tie in. Pop it into a hair stacker and just tap it. I'm going to use my knuckle or the bench just to even the tips even more so that you get a really nice smooth looking wing. Now offer them up to the hook like so, roughly the same length, just a bit longer than the hook shank. Pinch and loop. There, see the tips kick up a bit? That tells you that the loop's pulled tight. 3 turns before you let go. There we are. That's reasonably secure. Now bind the butts towards the bend of the hook. Now we're going to take a chunk out and cut it off, not all of it. Now bind down a little bit further, remove some more. I call this step cutting, and it puts a taper into the body. And now we'll remove the rest of it, like so. Shorten up the thread a little bit and continue binding all the way to the bend. There we go. And again, take another bunch of squirrel tail and treat the same way, but there's no need to stack this piece. I like to think of this rather as a shuck than as a tail. Pinch and loop, catch it in, again 3 turns before you let go and work your way up. There we go. Now lift the butts and go in there and cut them off at an angle so that they reach roughly where the wing butts finished, so that we keep a nice even base to the body. Bind down and then thread back down to the tail again. Now take a CdeC feather, catch it in right at the root and slide it through under that turn of thread like so. And now bind down the remaining tip as you go up the body with the thread. Again, touching turns, very important. Touching turns keeps everything even and smooth as an underbody. We go all the way up, almost but not quite to the wing, roughly 5 turns behind. Now put the hackle pliers on the CdeC feather, give it a couple of twists and start to wind it up the body to form the body of the fly. Each turn, put 1 twist in it. Each of those twists is anti-clockwise. There. And the next one. In this way, the body becomes tapered as you wind it up. the shank. And we've just got enough there. We're going to catch that in there and trim it off. If you haven't got a long enough CdeC feather, then go as far as you need, cut that one off and put another one in. You can build the body that way. Now we're just going to trim the loose fibres, leave them just showing, almost velvety in appearance. There we go. And take your thread through to the wing, pull the wings back, and now we're going to wedge the wing into a more upright position. You can see I'm putting a real angled turn in there each time, really wedging tight in underneath the root so that that wing will stand up. It'll lean forward slightly, but there we go. Now you can't see because my hands are in the way, but I'm separating the wing into two and come up, hold the far wing, just get hold of all the fibres, make sure they're even. There we go. Bring the thread up behind, across between and down in front of the wing on the far side. Now pull back and take a turn all the way around the hook in front of the wing, and then one across behind the far wing. Now another turn behind, and again one across between in front of the far wing, one turn in front, and then one across between to be behind the far wing again. It's called figure of 8, and once you see it, it's obvious why. There's a couple of stray fibres I've trapped, so we'll get rid of them rather than try and catch them in. There we go. There, now you can see the wing. Next we want to tidy up. Again, pull the wings back. We're going to go right to the eye and come back again. 4 turns. That'll leave room to make the head in a moment. Now we'll prepare the saddle hackle and take a few extra fibres off of the side that will be sitting on the hook shank. It just makes it enter better. You can see there. Catch it in at the front and bind it down. Make sure you don't trap the wing in the process. Take the thread all the way back to where the body finishes. Now we just need to trim the waist end of the stem off. And there's a couple of fibres just to be got rid of that are out of place. There we go, just to make the job neat. Now wind the hackle, tight touching turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th one there in front. Really set those wings up high. Now come in behind. The bad side, or the underside of the feather, is facing to the front as we do this. It just works better on a dry fly. There we go. Now catch in, and if you keep the thread really tight and just push it through, the fibres usually spring out of the way. Hold the wing back. There, just need to slightly jiggle it to get past the wing and through. Each turn is binding down the stem of the hackle. Now pull everything back with your fingers and thumb, and we'll neaten up the head. There's a couple of stray fibres, get rid of them. There we go. Now just form the head like so. Doesn't have to be big, just as long as it's neat. And now a 4-turn whip. like so. Catch the loop and transfer onto your dubbing needle, slide through and tighten. That's pretty much the fly finished, and we just slice the thread off, and now slice the hackle off rather than snip. Just push the scissors and it'll slice off. There we go. And now we've completed our Olive Wulff, ready to go fishing. Just tidy up the fibres where we've crushed them. That's a great Mayfly imitation on the Great Lakes in Ireland and on the rivers in the UK or anywhere else for that matter. An excellent pattern.